Vanillaware went broke to make this game, and this isn't even the first time they've done this. They also went broke making their previous game 13 Sentinels, and thank God that did well, because they probably wouldn't have been able to make this amazing game otherwise. And yeah, I've spoiled it for you. I like Unicorn Overlord a lot. It scratches the tactical RPG itch that I've ignored for too long. For anyone who likes tactical RPGs, this game hooks you right off the bat with its amazing gameplay. How? Let's find out. This story follows our protagonist Elaine. Elaine is the sole survivor of a royal family that was chased out of their kingdom, Cornea, during a hostile takeover by Galerius. Galerius, not being satisfied with holding just Cornea, plans to take over the whole continent for himself, under the Zenoiran Empire. Elaine, now a young man, takes up the mantle of the leader of the Liberation Army in the fight to take back his kingdom and free all of the other territories from the evil clutches of Galerius and the Zenoiran Empire. Pretty cookie cutter, right? Well, the story unfortunately is the weak link in Unicorn Overlord. It's a very typical, straightforward fantasy RPG kind of story. The bad guy is doing bad guy things, and it's up to us good guys to stop them. That's not to say it's a bad story. It just doesn't stand out or do anything particularly interesting. Also, there are a lot of expectations that come with a game that puts a large-scale war as its setting. We were expecting a lot of political intrigue, big-brain 5D chess-level plotting, and showcasing of the moral ambiguity that's present in a lot of tales about war, but there really was none of that. They were very close to getting there, as a big part of the plot is that Zenoira utilizes mind control, or brainwashing, to turn formerly righteous, upstanding characters into monstrous tools of war. Minor spoilers ahead, by the way, skip to here if you don't want to hear it. But once Elaine uses his power to return them to normal, they wake up as if they just took a nap and had the most horrible case of sleepwalking, not knowing what terrible things they've done. That was an amazing chance to delve more into the existential, moral, and social implications of living a life post-brainwash, but that wasn't explored all too well. Everyone just kinda hand-waved it away and went, "Lol, we know it isn't you who did it, and your victims will surely understand if we just explain." Even though we know that most people won't take it that logically, and will probably want someone to pay for all the atrocities committed by the brainwashed individual. The characters, on the other hand, while lacking in depth and complexity, all have their unique charms and are very likable. The side quests allow you to explore more of these characters and their personalities and quirks, so doing them is recommended. There's also a romance/marriage part of the game, so be sure to know who you're putting that ring on before you commit. If you're coming in here as a seasoned tactical RPG player, hoping to experience a story the likes of Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem, maybe temper your expectations. But it is understandable. Vanillaware wrote the story as an afterthought because their true focus was creating amazingly addictive gameplay. The gameplay just grabs your attention within the first few hours and just hooks you. The game also continually introduces you to new mechanics, classes, and characters at a good pace, constantly keeping you interested throughout its duration. The combat system is a departure from the typical turn-based systems you'd find with Disgaea, Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, etc., and opts for a real-time system instead. Your units and the enemy units move on the map simultaneously as they try to outmaneuver and overpower each other on the battlefield. Your goal is to order and oversee your troops to take out enemy units and take over their bases while keeping your units and bases safe from the enemy. There are various items and skills you can utilize on the map, from traps to siege engines, to offensive skills and support skills that will help you move around the map and get an upper hand on your opponent. Once your units clash with an enemy unit, that's when you move to an automated battle sequence. Automated? That sounds kinda boring, you might say. But surprisingly, it's not, because most of the gameplay doesn't really happen when you fight. It's on this menu. A strategy game's battle usually starts in the menu when you're customizing your units and planning out how they'll synergize and work off each other. Unicorn Overlord understands this and has built a system that really tickles the inner anime character that likes to do that reflective glasses thing and goes, "Huh, all according to Keikaku." There are so many ways to mix and match your characters, their units, and their equipment such that you have a master plan and perfect counter to whatever enemy you face. Starting with the equipment, there's so many options to go for, it's kinda overwhelming sometimes. But sorting through what you have is part of the fun of it. It's kind of like having all of your TCG cards out on a table, and you're carefully building your deck. You can also get a lot of mileage from early game equipment because certain stat boosts or abilities can be useful, depending on what specific build you're going for. So be careful about willy-nilly selling your stuff. You can also set up skills in your equipment menu. Here, you can further specify the tactical conditions for when your character should activate and utilize skills. For example, if you want a healing skill to only activate when a character has less than 50% health, or to prioritize the front row, you can set that here. Certain skills are also more effective on certain types of units, and you can set a skill that's effective on cavalry to only target cavalry. For people who like to get into the nitty-gritty, super specifics, this is just the best. However, we do understand that most people aren't into that, but if you're playing on normal difficulty or below, the default settings will get you through no problem. With over 60 classes, you'll never be lacking for choices, from archers to warriors, from knights to wizards, and even classes that combine the utilities of 2 other classes. There's a complex interplay of synergies across the many classes, and it's just so much fun experimenting and planning out how you would arrange your units. While there are synergies to think about, there's also the rock paper scissors type weaknesses that you have to consider when setting up your characters. And honestly, calling it rock paper scissors is probably a disservice considering how in-depth it can get. For example, a character can be weak against a certain class, but when paired with a different support character, you can offset those weaknesses and turn the tide in your favor. There are just so many ways you can set up units that the one complaint I have is that there should be more than 10 max units, so we can have more to play around with. But then again, as they say, limitations breed creativity. And boy was there a lot of breeding going on. Wait a minute. No. And that's why, even with the auto battle, the game is so fun because that's where you see the culmination of all the time you've spent in the menu carefully crafting your units. Seeing your army play out what you've envisioned while going through your long list of equipment, skills, and characters, and absolutely decimate the opponents is so satisfying and makes all the menu crawling worth it. Outside of the battles, there are a lot of things to do as well. The game provides you with overworld exploration, and here you can collect materials, visit towns, and explore the various points of interest scattered around the map. The towns are where you can stock up on items and hire new people for your army. Some towns will also be damaged because of the ongoing conflict, and you can choose to repair them with the materials you've gathered. Once repaired, you'll be rewarded, plus you can station a character in that town as a guard. This allows you to automatically gather the materials surrounding that town, plus some extra funds after you complete every battle. There is a lot of side content as well, so this game is definitely for those people who want to focus on one game for a length of time. There's also a lot of replayability because once you've mastered the game system on normal, you can choose to replay on a higher difficulty level to really test out how much of a big brain gamer you are. The gameplay isn't the only thing that's beautiful about this game. The visuals are also a lovely sight as expected from Vanillaware, and its very distinct art style. The use of lighting, coloring, and shadows just makes it a treat for the eyes. There's a lot of variation in the character design, and each major character has their own unique look and feel. Speaking of variation, there's a healthy variation of environments as well. Going beyond Cornia's green plains, we have Drakengard's arid deserts, Elheim's lush verdant forests, Bastoria's blankets of snow, and Albion's mountainous terrain. The music is the sweet, sweet icing on an already beautiful cake. Hats off to Mitsuhiro Kaneda of Tactics Ogre and 13 Sentinels fame for creating a soundtrack that's lovely on the ears during the serene moments and a shot of adrenaline during its intense moments.
What a joke!
The game did well to capture the essence of a medieval fantasy world with its masterful soundtrack. No matter how many times we hear the battle themes, it never gets old. It also starts really strong, with that amazing piece in our first battle with Elenia. It's a strong cinematic orchestral piece that calls to mind iconic themes found in games like Nier Automata. Vanillaware quite literally went for broke with this game, but they truly delivered an amazing experience, and that's why we're giving Unicorn Overlord a solid 9. If the story was done as masterfully as its other TRPG counterparts, it would have done better, but hey, the story did its job, and does well enough to carry you the rest of the way. The gameplay is the star player here and delivers an experience that will have you absolutely hooked from start to finish and maybe even beyond, if you want to redo the game at a higher difficulty level. All of that gift wrapped in amazing visuals and music. For $60 you're presented with 60 hours of addicting gameplay for the main story and 100 hours maybe even more if you're planning to do all the rest. I've been playing this game for 4 days straight now, Send Help. What more could you ask for? But enough about what we think. What do you think about Unicorn Overlord? What's your favorite TRPG? Tell us in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you liked it and want to see more video game and video game related content from us. Happy gaming, and we'll see you next time.